Hey folks, went to make this video yesterday and got caught in a torrential downpour. It was quite comical because I tried to push through it, and by the time I viewed the film clips at the end, I found that water had gotten in the microphone and everything. So needless to say, I scrapped it and we'll start again. If I remember, I'll put some clips of that at the end of this. I've had a lot of requests lately to go over just some basics with firearms, and that's what I'll be talking about today. What we're going to go over is loading, press checking, and unloading of the firearms. Understand that what we're going to do is give you the tools to learn to be tactically proficient, technically proficient, and safe while you're doing all of the above. First thing I want to talk about is safety. Now, for those of you who are new to firearms, any firearm that you come across and you might want to or need to move it for safety, for example, if small children are around, you can do this by keeping your finger off the trigger and keeping it pointed in a safe direction. This is a question that I've had. A lot of people are not familiar with firearms. Just go ahead, you can pick it up and move it to a safe location as long as you keep your finger off the trigger and as long as you keep the muzzle pointed in a safe direction while you do that. The firearms I'm going to be working with today are the Glock 9mm and the AK-47. First, I'm going to go over the Glock with you. Loading the Glock, you want to go ahead and obtain the firearm. And you first want to lock the slide to the rear. Remember, I'm a lefty. There are a couple of different ways you can do this as a lefty. First thing you want to do is make sure the magazine is out. Did someone else pick this up? You need to assume all firearms are loaded until checked. Now, one way that I've seen for a lefty to lock the slide to the rear is by using the index finger, the trigger finger here, and pulling back over the top like that to lock it to the rear. In a non-tactical situation, I really don't care for this. What I tend to do when I'm going to load up is I transfer it over to my right hand and then I lock the slide to the rear. Now, this is going to apply to both left-handed and right-handed people. I make sure there's no magazine inserted. I go ahead and push up with my thumb on the slide catch, just here. Reach over the top with my hand, keeping it pointed in a safe direction, grasp the top of the slide, and pull straight back. It should lock right in like that. If you're fighting with it, if it's not locking in, reassess your thumb position because your thumb will have to be pushing up on that slide catch. Some of them are a little bit more sensitive than others. Some of them are harder to get a hold of, so that may be the problem. Anyway, from this point, you have the slide locked to the rear. Go ahead and inspect the chamber. The chamber is empty on this firearm. There's no round stuck in there. The magazine is out, and it is safe. I'm ready to load. For a lefty, I transfer it back to my left hand. Obtain the magazine. You obtain the magazine, as you've seen my other videos, by indexing it. You want the tip of that index finger on the nose of that round. You want the ball of your hand on the toe of the magazine. You want to do it the same way every time, because each and every time you do it is an opportunity to build muscle memory, and this is what's important. So, insert the magazine, push up on it, and ensure that it's seated. Next, this is lefties. Come over the top, grab it, pull back, and release. You see my hand is going all the way to my shoulder. That's the way I was trained to ensure that I do not milk the slide and therefore mess up chambering around. For a right-handed person, it's the same drill. You have your magazine inserted, you reach over the top, all the way to the shoulder, and release. You are now loaded. On loading, if your firearm is equipped with a bolt catch or a slide catch, you want to use it and load from this position with the slide to the rear. The reason being is that gives that slide the maximum opportunity to work. Let me show you what I'm talking about. You insert that magazine, that round is pushed up and in a position where the slide can strip that round off and push it into the chamber. Sometimes with a fully loaded magazine, you will have trouble seating the magazine inside because of that top round. You may think it's seated, it may feel as if it's seated, however, it is not fully seated. Therefore, when you chamber a round like this, it won't strip off the top round and you will have an empty chamber. Next thing we're going to do is talk about Presscheck. Presscheck is actually very important to those of you who are concealed carry folks. With a semi-automatic weapon, rifle or handgun, the action moves so quickly that you generally cannot see the round stripped off the magazine and chambered inside. So therefore, if my magazine was not properly seated when I loaded this handgun, guess what? There's no round in the chamber. It's an empty chamber when I might need it. So to Presscheck, we're making sure that there is in fact a round in the chamber. Again, you see me practicing the same essentials as the 5-count presentation when I draw, because it's an opportunity to practice muscle memory, build that muscle memory. Okay, I have got the firearm in hand, it is loaded. I want to Presscheck it. The way that I prefer to do this is by pinching underneath the slide with my index finger and thumb, going underneath just like this, grasping the front of the slide with those two fingers and slightly pushing back on it, only about 3 millimeters. Tilt it up and look in. You should be able to see brass. Let it go and you're done. If you can see that brass, you have properly chambered a round. Holster it and press on with your day. It's exactly the same for a right-handed person. Take that thumb and forefinger of your weak hand, depress here, tilt it up, look in, see the brass, and let it go. Now, there are easier ways with different handguns. Another good example, take a look at a picture or your own or in a gun store of a Beretta. Look at the Beretta, the way it has the decock lever on each side of the top of the slide. You can take your two fingers as a claw, you can take your thumb as a stopper to ensure you do not pull too far, claw it and pull back that way on the Beretta. Tilt it up and look. So you've got to adapt your technique for whatever firearm you're using. However, what I'm sharing with you today will give you the basic information, the basic skills to understand how to work it out for each firearm. Okay, one more thing on the Presscheck. When you Presscheck, go ahead and holster up, and you can be confident, because you've done your drills, that you're carrying a fully loaded firearm throughout your day. Don't get in the bad habit that some people do of Preschecking every time they turn around. All right? Did I load it? Did I load it? Did I load it? If you do your drills properly every time, if you do them properly every time, you will know, even if there's a question in your head, no, of course it's loaded. I did my drills properly. I always do my drills properly every time. Let's talk about unloading the firearm. To unload the firearm, you want to, of course, keep it pointed in a safe direction. You want to remove the magazine. For a left-handed person, the way that I've found that works very well for me is I use my middle finger. I use my middle finger to depress that magazine release and let it drop into my hand. Go ahead and secure this out of the way. Set it down on the table, put it in your offhand pocket, whatever you want to do. You do not want to continue to do drills while trying to hold a magazine in your hand. If you multitask when performing weapons drills, you have more of a chance of having a malfunction and possibly a negligent discharge. At this point, I transfer it to my right hand. Again, I'm going to put my thumb on that slide catch, push up slightly, grasp over the top, and pull the slide to the rear. The round has fallen onto the ground. Now I want to perform essentially a three-point check. You do this all in one glance, but what you're looking at is, number one, you're looking into the chamber to see that there is no round stuck inside. You're looking down into the magazine well to ensure that the magazine has in fact been removed. And you're looking at the bolt face to ensure that a round has not been captured there by a bent extractor. You're doing this in one glance, and it's a double check because you know you've dropped the magazine, you know the round has fallen on the ground, but if somebody had called your name in the midst of your drill, maybe you forgot to do one of those. Alright, so this is a double check for your own safety. Is it clear? Yes, it's clear. Grasp over the top, same drills, to the shoulder, you are done. For a right-handed person it's a bit easier. Take this thumb and depress your magazine release, letting the magazine drop. Okay, secure it out of the way. You don't want to multitask. Depress that slide catch with your thumb, push it up slightly, grasp over the top, bring it up, and the round should eject out. 3-point check, chamber, magazine, face of the bolt, it's done. Release it, go ahead and put it away, holster it, whatever you're going to do. You're unloaded.